All Indiana Politics is your premier source for Indiana politics, focusing on issues that matter to you.
I still want us to be the best in the Midwest.
We can't afford another lockdown.
Give the citizens of this country the relief they need.
Education in the state of Indiana remains priority number one.
In-depth, nonpartisan coverage.
We don't know exactly where the economy will be in January.
People are worried with good reason.
Exclusive interviews with Indiana's political leaders.
We have the resources here in the state of Indiana to care for those who are in need.
Expert analysis on critical legislation.
We need to reform those laws.
This recovery is going to take some time.
We've got to anticipate that there'll be a budget shortfall.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. Let's start by talking unemployment on this Sunday and the flurry of court activity over the state's decision to end extended federal benefits here in Indiana. The Indiana Court of Appeals has granted an expedited review of the case, but it will be at least July 9th before the court rules on the state's request. The 5 Hoosiers suing tell the judge that they need the payments to avoid financial crises and that evidence shows cutting unemployment benefits does not get more people back to work. Governor Eric Holcomb tells us Indiana followed the law when it opted out of the pandemic unemployment programs on June 19th.
We followed federal guidelines, right? There was a way to apply, and there was a process to not to back out, and we followed that process, understanding that we've got about over 100,000 jobs still to fill that are posted. So there's more opportunity now than pre-pandemic. So we're in a different place. I completely appreciated and understood during the height of the pandemic how useful when people had to be hunkered down. No longer is the case. Now, if you've chosen not to be vaccinated, if you've chosen to roll the dice, your call. But that shouldn't prevent you from going to work.
Let's welcome in Representative Greg Porter now. Mr. Porter, good to see you, sir. Thank you for taking some time.
Glad to be with you.
So let's start with this court battle that's going on right now. In your opinion, is it a good use of state resources and tax dollars for the Attorney General and the governor to fight the extended unemployment benefits?
Absolutely not. I think at this point, we're still in a pandemic. We're beginning to come out of it. We can take those dollars and utilize them in a better way. People are still hurting. This whole situation is not like a light switch. You can't turn it on or turn it off. And so individuals are still hurting. They still need to look at childcare. They still need transportation. They still need food on their tables, and they still need to have a livable wage.
So I read that you're proposing that we do something other states have already put into play, and that is give incentives to folks who go back to work.
Exactly. I mean, it's happening all over the country. We've done it in Ohio. Our neighboring states have done it. Ohio is helping individuals out, Kentucky, and other states also. So, we're in the Midwest. We always talk about how we're on the forefront of economic development, but right now we're lagging when it comes to human infrastructure.
So the governor has said that the extended unemployment benefits is hurting the economy, is hurting their efforts of going back to work, and also, of course, hurting businesses. Do you agree? And your response?
No, I don't believe it's hurting. I think the whole point is that we need to get people back to work. So there's 100,000 jobs, okay? But what are those jobs? What are they? And you're right, 250,000 people that are unemployed right now. But are they real livable wage jobs? Are they really good jobs for Hoosier? And I say they're not. I say that we just continue to help build a structure of employment, to give people good wages to assist. I mean, if you're going to begin to take people off of the program, you need to help them. You just can't turn it, like I said, on like a light switch. And so there has to be some type of transition. And there isn't a transition with him or this Attorney General.
So you've talked about job training in the past. We've had this discussion, you and I. That's kind of a long-term fix. What about in the short term, right now?
Right now, I believe that what we need to do is help get people back into jobs. We have to help employees and employers also work together. It's not an either and. It's not either this or either that. It's both. We have to gradually put people together in jobs and help them in the transition. I mean, what about the individuals that are self-employed? We always talk about people that are self-employed, who pull themselves up by quote unquote bootstraps and start their own jobs. And the pandemic unemployment assistance dollars are very important when it comes to those individuals that are self-employed or independent contractors.
Yeah, it's a tough conversation. State Representative Greg Porter, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Have a great one.
You too. Take care. Now, about those federal unemployment benefits, Indiana Democratic Congressman Andre Carson said he would consider a bill extending them beyond September. He also says there's more that Congress can do.
I agree with the judge's decision to block Indiana's effort to cut unemployment benefits. I thank the Hoosiers who brought forth this lawsuit. But I want to say that I certainly don't think that people should live off of unemployment in the long term. But, these benefits should absolutely be strong enough to keep families afloat in tough times. And the truth is that Indiana's unemployment was essentially underfunded even before the pandemic. And there's still a lot of people out of work, and we should not cut this vital safety net. We also need to strengthen unemployment insurance, quite frankly, and the systems across our country. I've written to Speaker Pelosi and Ways and Means Chair Richie Neal, asking them to make this a priority in the Build Back America agenda. And if we really want to make it easier for businesses to hire workers, we need to raise the minimum wage. Unemployment benefits aren't the problem. The problem is that many people earning minimum wage are working full time, yet living in poverty.
And another major part of our conversation with Congressman Carson, the House committee that will investigate the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. Speaker Nancy Pelosi named the first members of the committee this week, including Republican Liz Cheney. The panel's goal? Find out what happened during and before Trump supporters stormed the Capitol as Congress was voting to certify the presidential election. Carson told us that he's disappointed more Republicans didn't support the committee after Republican senators blocked the plan for a 9/11 style commission.
It's very disheartening and sad that many of them are afraid of getting answers about what happened that day. I suppose it's because the more we learn about the events leading up to the insurrection, the harder it is to deny Donald Trump's role in inciting that mob. So I believe the only way we can move forward from this is to get answers and accountability. Unfortunately, I've seen reports that show a large number of Republicans believe the insurrection was caused by Antifa or left-wing groups. I was there that day. I saw these folks close up. One of them had my name on a list. And so I wholeheartedly reject delusions about what happened. So we need the committee to show the American people what really happened. And, my colleagues who Speaker Pelosi appointed for this committee are qualified to lead the effort. I commend them on accepting this responsibility. And I'm very glad that, Liz Cheney was selected as well. So this has to be bipartisan.
Congressman Carson also told us there are still a lot of questions to answer as whether or not Capitol police officers or other members of Congress helped the insurrectionists on January 6th. Coming up, a new Indiana group pushing for climate change policies, and it features young Republicans from around the state. Details next on All Indiana Politics. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics. There's a new group launched this week in the Hoosier State to push for climate change policies. But here's the twist. It's a group of Republicans from across the state. The group calls itself Hoosiers for Carbon Dividends. The group's goal, pass a plan that cuts us carbon emissions in half in the next 15 years. And we now welcome in George Gemellis, the founder of Hoosiers for Carbon Dividends. George, good to see you. Thank you for taking some time.
Thanks so much, Phil, for having me.
Tell us a little bit about your program.
Well, the news here is that we have a coalition of leading Republicans across the Hoosier State in support of a concrete climate plan. And our coalition features Republican legislators and GOP county chairs and leading college Republicans from across the state. And we've all come together around the Baker-Schultz Carbon Dividends proposal. Our organization is called Hoosiers for Carbon Dividends. And it's distinct from other climate proposals because it is market-based, pro-innovation, and a pro-growth climate solution.
Okay, so can you give me some specifics on what you're proposing?
Absolutely. So this is this carbon dividends proposal would charge companies a fee for their emissions and return the revenue back to the American people in the form of dividend checks. And conservative economists consider this to be the most efficient and effective way to drive down emissions to clean up the environment. And actually what's most interesting for our coalition and about this proposal is that it would actually charge foreign industries for the pollution that they put out, which is actually rare amongst climate proposals being touted in DC.
Right. Where does the proposal stand and where does it go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our coalition is part of a broader, I think, ecosystem that is urging for this market-based solution. Top businesses, including BP, Ford, and GM, all support this proposal, as well as political thought leaders across the spectrum, and I think economists, including chief Republican economists from across different political administrations.
What do you say to folks who say, hey, Republicans traditionally aren't very green. They don't usually support climate legislation. Your response to them?
Well, that's precisely why our coalition has come together. We're here to restore, I think, the GOP's legacy on environmental leadership. Actually, some of the early and most successful projects of environmental leadership happened through the Republican Party. George H.W. Bush's leadership on acid rain, Teddy Roosevelt's founding of the national park system. I think there is a strong tradition, and we're here to sort of urge our leaders in the GOP to get back to that tradition.
Have you had conversations with legislators about this? And I mean, do you foresee this happening in the near future?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, the business community is lined up behind this sort of proposal. And there's really, I think, consensus that there needs to be done something. We have, we have spoken to legislators. Two of our founding members include State Representative State Senator Ron Grooms and State Representative Cindy Zimke. And I think we want to take this message to our federal delegation, including Mike Braun, who's actually leading the GOP in the Senate on this very issue. He just actually passed a bill called the Growing Climate Solutions Act, which advocates for farmers in the climate conversation.
Have you talked to any Democrats about this?
Actually, the proposal is unique in that while it's Republican-led, actually carries bipartisan support.
Wow. So
there are chief economic advisors to former presidents from Republican administrations as well as Democratic administrations.
George, thank you for taking some time for us today. We wish you well. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for having me, Phil.
Thank you. And coming up, the political fallout from the legal fight over unemployment here in the state of Indiana. Our political experts are standing by next for a debate on All Indiana Politics. Welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome back Democrat Drew Anderson and Republican Whitley Yates. Good to see you both. Let's start with the court fight over unemployment benefits here in Indiana, if you don't mind. Whitley, we'll start with you on this one. Does the governor risk backlash for continuing to push judges to say that Indiana can opt out early from federal unemployment?
I don't think he risks backlash at all. I think the goal is to get these 116,000 jobs that we have open and available in the state of Indiana filled and continue to push our economy here in the state forward. And the only way to do that is to stop these unemployment benefits, to allow people to get back to work so that we can have the comeback that the Democrats have been touting all around the state of Indiana right now.
Drew, your response?
I mean, not only does it further expose the fact that under Governor Holcomb and the last 10 years of Republican leadership that good jobs have left the state, good paying jobs, I think it also shows that Hoosier workers need to get paid more. And that's something that Governor Holcomb and Republicans just refuse to address. And Democrats, we have called on everyone to come together to raise the minimum wage so that we could get over 892,000 Hoosiers at least $15 an hour in their wages. And that helps pay for childcare. That helps pay for other important items that are needed to make all ends meet. And that's just what's got to happen.
Well, Drew, you see the same online reaction that we do. There are a lot of people, a lot of Hoosiers who say, good, stop these unemployment benefits, stop paying people to stay home, and make them go back to work. What do you say when you see that type of rhetoric?
I mean, then you're forcing Hoosiers to take 2-3 jobs, and it's just because Governor Holcomb is telling Hoosiers that they have to work more for less. And it all started back in 2012 when Mitch Daniels and Republicans passed right to work and basically demolished worker rights across the state. And we've been suffering ever since. And at the end of the day, what we need to do is to raise wages for workers. And that's why we also, as Democrats, are excited to pass the jobs plan, because it will deliver good paying jobs and strengthen unions.
Whitley, I'll let you respond before I move on here.
What I hear him saying is we need to raise minimum wage, but because we have a super minority in the state house, we're going to utilize this government program that's paying people extra unemployment to stay home to force the legislators to raise unemployment. That's not how government works. That's not how democracy works. And so
I actually never said that. I said
Drew,
raise
you're
wages.
Shaking your head. Go ahead.
I actually never said that. I said raise wages. But go ahead and try to use your little misinformation and spin machine, Whitley.
I mean, you said we need to raise wages and we haven't. So we're going to utilize this unemployment extra benefit to keep people off of work, to force Republicans to raise the wages. I think that this is not how politics works. It's not how democracy works. And it's not how a republic works. We have
y'all are responsible for delivering low paying jobs to Hoosiers, and that's on y'all.
So it's our fault that we have low paying jobs. You're blaming our.
Because it's up to the governor to deliver high-paying jobs, and he's not actually done that. So that's your record, and you have to own that. And we have to raise wages, and you guys aren't doing that.
There are 116,000 jobs available, but you would rather people stay at home, receive an extra $300.
I never said that. I never said that.
All right, guys. It's a holiday weekend. It's a holiday weekend, guys. Let's be civil real quick, and I want to move on here. Attorney General Todd Rokita has released a parent's bill of rights for education. Now, among the items, the right to question school officials, and we see it up here on our screen, and board members at public meetings, that academic curriculum aligns with Indiana and federal guidelines, and to question and review what's taught in classrooms. Now, is this something that's really necessary from the Attorney General of Indiana? Drew, I'll go to you first.
No, and at the end of the day, this is Todd Rokita once again trying to line himself up to run for governor in 2024. He's using his position of power to actually peddle extreme partisanship when at the end of the day, this idea is a college course. It's not even taught in school curriculums. Superintendents across the state, including in central Indiana, have said that. And instead of acknowledging that fact, Republicans keep peddling this misinformation because they would rather install fear and scare tactics into Hoosiers than actually be truthful to them.
Whitley?
Oh, Drew, you're so wrong. Since when is advocacy, transparency, and accountability a problem? Democrats run from it consistently. I know Mayor Hawk said is, why is it not okay for parents to ask about what their children are being taught? Why is it not okay to question elected officials, school board officials to show up to meetings? Why is it a problem when you're supposed to be an active parent in your child's education? And giving parents the right and empowering them to have that right is a problem. It's a little.
Once again, I never said that. Once again, I never said that. You're trying to put words in my mouth. What I'm saying is that y'all are intentionally pushing extreme partisanship and misinformation, and it's because y'all actually don't have a vision or a record to govern on. That has been the Republican Party over the last 4 years, because up at the top, you guys worshipped a former president who would rather cause drama and cause chaos and division than actually get stuff done.
We're talking about education.
Whitley, 30 seconds.
And parents having the right to question the teachers, to ask about the curriculum, to show up to school board meetings. I don't know how he got on national politics, but we're empowering parents to be active in their child's education. And as a parent of a future first grader, I am excited about the Bill of Rights, and I hope everyone else is too.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
LOL.
Happy 4th of July, guys.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Take all Indiana politics on the go with you. Download our podcast now. part of the All Indiana Podcast Network and allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
And thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics on this 4th of July. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. In the meantime, have a great and safe 4th of July and have a great rest of your weekend.
From Wish TV, this is All Indiana Politics Podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Watch All Indiana Politics live Sunday mornings at 9:30 on Wish TV and at wishtv.com. Subscribe to this podcast and listen weekly here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.